Hi everyone, welcome to After Class,
a podcast by two passionate adult ballerinas about all things adult ballet related.
and some random thoughts in between.
We're so glad you're here.
So grab your water bottle
Or a cup of coffee.
and join us for a quick chat after class.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of After Class. Today, we're going to talk about how to wash and care for your dancewear. As we all know, it can be very expensive. So today, we're going to break down how to properly wash it to extend its life, save you money in the long run, and keep you feeling your best in class. We also have a downloadable PDF that we're going to include with this episode as a quick reference guide to help you as you are caring for your dancewear. Today, I am joined by my lovely co-host, Elena.
Hello everyone, this is exciting.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good episode. It's a very practical one because I know it can be a little hard to know how to wash some of these things because they're very different from street clothes. You know, there's like lace and very delicate chiffon and things that we might not be used to washing in our normal lives. So they just require a little bit of extra attention, but nothing too complicated.
Exactly. And as simple as that, the first step is to focus on rinsing immediately after class. As soon as you finish, just try to rinse your leotard, your tights. Now, why is this important? If you dance with black leotards, you might have noticed that the salt when you sweat stays on the clothes and you can even see the white marks on it. That breaks the fibers, yeah? Especially for the spandex, lycra, and anything that is actually a bit stretchy, which is everything in our ballet clothes, leotard tights. So I would say that that's why it's really important. And what to do is, I think Hannah mentioned before, if you don't have time to rinse it by itself, as soon as you finish your class, you get home, you're going to have a shower, take it off, put it with you in the shower, rinse it really quick, and then that's it. It's done.
That's one of my favorite little hacks is to just take my leotard and my tights into the shower with me and just give them a rinse. Because like you said, the sweat staying in the fabric over time really is going to break it down. It also just will start to get that look of being kind of worn and not fresh looking the longer you let the sweat just sit in the fabric. So rinsing it out, even if you plan to do a full load, in the next couple days, just not letting it sit in your hamper for days at a time with the sweat still in it is a really good way to preserve the life of your dancewear items. So that leads us to the next step, which is actually fully washing. So whether that's because you've accumulated like a full load. Like that's what I tend to like to do is wait until I have a few classes or days worth of dancewear that needs to be washed so that I can do a full load of a gentle cycle, and then splitting it up between colors because you don't want to wash your dark colored leotards or leg warmers, things like that, skirts with your light colored tights, especially because it will discolor your tights. So I like to separate into two different loads and kind of go from there.
Definitely. That will make everything last way longer, which is again one of the purpose of this episode, helping you make your expensive ballet clothes to last that extra long time. After you separate everything by colors, then try to use room temperature, not too hot, not too cold because you want it to be clean, obviously, but room temperature will be a very general, easy way in which you can wash your skirts and your leotards, all of them at the same temperature.
Yeah, and I always turn my items inside out because if you think about it, generally speaking with dancewear, the part that's getting the dirtiest is really the part closest to your skin because that's where the sweat's coming from. It's up against your armpits, your deodorant. So all the skin contact is happening on the inside of the garment. So rather than just tossing it in, make sure you're turning it inside out so that it's really getting clean on the part that is up against your skin.
Something that I know from talking with Hannah that is really, really important to her, and now that I'm in a first world country too, is really important to me, is choosing a mild detergent. Something that it doesn't have too much chemicals. And it's not just for your ballet clothes, but in general, for all of your clothes. You're going to put it on your skin, you're going to be sweating. So that would be a good idea. What do you think, Hannah?
Yeah, I think anytime you're sweating, your pores are more open. And so whatever is against your skin is going to be coming into your pores. And so especially when I am washing dancewear, it's really important to me to use as clean of a detergent as possible, especially someone like I have sensitive skin. And so I've literally had rashes and things from using detergents that aren't clean and mild enough. So if you're someone with sensitive skin, it's also really important because again, a difference between dancewear and street clothes is like how much are you really sweating in your street clothes? Probably not that much, but in your ballet clothes, you're really sweating, you're hot, your pores are open, it's right up against your skin because it's very fitted. So even if you're not big on using a clean detergent in your normal clothes, even just buying a bottle that you just use for your dancewear, also it tends to be gentler on the clothes themselves. So that's another great reason to use a clean detergent.
Yeah, exactly. It will break the fabrics a little bit less than the typical one. And on that note, also choosing a spot treat, something that can actually remove the stains, but again, not too harsh. So just be very careful with what you choose to wash them because that will also help for the garment to last longer.
Another tip too with like spot treatment is I know, at least for me, like my leg warmers tend to get really dirty along the bottom of where they're touching the floor and I'm like stepping on them, or if they're stirrup leg warmers, and they're directly on the floor. Using something like spray and wash or some sort of stain remover and just spraying it along those areas and letting them sit for a little bit before you throw them in, that can really bring back the clean, vibrant feeling of your leg warmers. Cause like I know that for me at least, those tend to get really dirty and just putting them in the wash a lot of times isn't enough to get the gray, brown, black scuffs off the bottom. So if you just do a little spot treatment, that'll most of the time bring them back to looking a lot fresher.
Since having Rio, it's very funny because I didn't really care much about the stains and I would be putting anything really strong that I found. However, since having Rio here in Australia, I don't know if you guys have it in America, but it's a brand called Nappy Sand. And it's just a big bottle of it looks like a white detergent, like a powder, but it's for stain removers and it's especially used on babies' clothes. So it's really clean and the spots are gone instantly. I put all his clothes in a little bucket with water and I put that little bit of a nappy sand. Great. I love it. So if you have it in America, I would recommend you to use it. It's just amazing.
Oh, that's a good tip. I've never heard of it here, but maybe if it is just an Australian thing, I do know that we have listeners in Australia. So it's nice to just keep things looking fresh for as long as possible because dancewear is very expensive. And a lot of times, rather than just tossing something out when you get a stain on it, if you're willing to put in a little extra work, a lot of times you can get it out and then you save yourself the money and the hassle of buying something completely new. Another thing too is using a delicates bag for machine washing if you're not going to hand wash, which I most of the time don't hand wash. I just prefer to wash in the machine and use a gentle cycle. But if you use a delicates bag, especially for things that are made of delicate fabric like tights, mesh, or lace items, it will give the items that extra protection so they don't snag or catch on other things that are in the load. And then also for tights, it prevents them from getting all knotted up. Like, I don't know if this has happened to you, Yelena, where it's like you put tights in the wash.
I see.
Yeah, they come out and they're just like all twisted up and you're trying to like disengage them from your other clothes. But if you put them in one of those delicates bags, that doesn't happen.
And it's even worse when the skirts. Like when you don't read, you don't remember, you don't think too much, and you just put like, oh, this is all the colors together, and you put all the colors to wash, and those skirts get all knotted up with everything. It's so annoying. So yes,
Yeah.
please,
Yeah.
delicate bags, and they're really easy to find on Amazon as well.
They're very inexpensive. I think I got a pack of 3 fairly large ones for, like, less than $20, and I use them all the time, and sometimes I even put a couple things in one bag, like, you can put a couple leotards in one bag. You don't have to wash everything in its own bag, it's just more about keeping things that are delicate and prone to maybe, like, tearing or snagging in a little separate protected space, so those are great. Also, too, for items like trash bag pants and sauna shorts or sauna rompers, anything without waterproof lining, also making sure that you're turning those inside out because those are going to make you sweat even more. I mean, that's the whole point of them. So, like, you really want to make sure those are turned inside out so that the sweat is coming out, and also using the delicates bag for those to prevent the little sealant that makes it waterproof on the inside of the garment from delaminating and coming off, because eventually over time, if the sauna wear is like rubbing against other things or zippers and stuff like that, it will start to peel off that inner lining that makes it waterproof. So that's one that you definitely want to make sure you're using a delicates bag for as well.
That's a good idea. I actually got a new one, and thank you for mentioning that. I will have it in my mind. But I think if you're a little bit unsure what to do, the safest part is always rinse it in a bucket of water. Put it over there overnight, put it with water, a little bit of detergent, or a little bit of whatever you want to use, even just water. It's just to get all that sweat and all that salt out of it.
Yeah, when all else fails, hand washing is always a safe bet with dancewear. So maybe let's talk about knitwear really quick, because with knitwear, it is a little different. I actually just
Yeah.
recently learned this because I purchased an item and it came with a little card talking about how to care for it, which I love that they did that. That's such a nice touch for
Yeah.
a dance company to do, or a dancewear company to do when they're sending you something. And it actually was talking about how with knitwear, you want to wash the items a little less and a little more sparingly, just to prevent wear and tear over time. Like if you're washing it a lot, it's obviously with knitwear, it'll be more prone to pilling and just starting to look a little bit more worn in. So you want to maybe give that a little bit more time between washes than you would a leotard, tights, things like that. So obviously you don't want to get to a point where it's disgusting and super stinky and like crunchy. That would be gross.
My God, that reminds me of a very, very bad experience. There is a company here that is called Aaron Williams, and it's quite pricey. And when you get that, it's like, I got a piece from Aaron Williams. This is gonna last forever, right? So I got this knitted jumper that I wanted so bad. Really excited, oversized, perfect, pink, peach color, whatever. Excited, right? The first time I wash it, I pass it through the washer and through the dryer. And now my niece, 8 years old niece, has a perfect, very expensive, really nice knitted jumper. I only wore it once, dried it, and that's it. It went from oversized to like an 8 years old size. I can
Oh my god.
be very careful, please.
So funny. And for all of the Americans who are listening who might not know this, a jumper is like a sweater in American English. But yeah,
That's right.
just thought I'd clarify for anyone listening. I think most people probably know that, but just in case you didn't. But yeah, that's so funny.
So be very careful with your knitwear. Even if you know what you're doing, just double check, just in case.
Yeah. Yeah. Knitwear definitely, it requires a little more care and love, but I think it's so, I don't know, there's something so like feminine and delicate about knitwear that I love
I love
from
them.
Ballet.
Yeah.
It's so good. I absolutely love to wear it. And actually, speaking of knitwear, we want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's episode, RubioWear. They are known for their unique and beautiful leg warmers, and they are all created and designed by professional dancers specifically for dancers. RubioWear is a brand that I truly love. I personally own the knit Cora wrap, and the quality is so lovely. It's held up so well, and it's one of my go-to pieces for keeping my low back and my hips warm before class. So whether you're heading to the studio or warming up at home, RubioWear's line will make you feel confident, comfortable, and ready to move. So you can browse their gorgeous collection of knitwear, leg warmers, skirts, rompers on Instagram and at rubiowear.com. So thank you so much to RubioWear for sponsoring this episode.
We really appreciate it.
So maybe next we can talk about drying. We've talked about rinsing, washing. So now what are your tips for drying your dancewear?
Okay, so tip number one, never, ever, ever, never, ever, ever, ever use the dryer for dancewear. Unless you want to lose 2 sizes.
That one could be deduced from the conversation we just had about the jumper slash sweater.
Exactly. So they are small garments, so you can basically dry them anywhere. Indoors if it's raining, and outdoors if there's a sunny day. Don't put them in straight into the sun, but don't ever, ever use the dryer, really. It just shrink and it deteriorates the fabric slowly.
Yeah, and now that I'm thinking about it, there is nothing dancewear related that I use the dryer for. Like it just really isn't a good option for anything that is dancewear, just because of the fabrics that dancewear is made from. It tends to have like the stretchy component, or it tends to be delicate. So there's really no scenario in which I would use or recommend using the dryer. Really, like you said, just hanging things up to dry. I think for things that are like knitwear, laying them out and kind of shaping them when they're laying out to dry so that they go back to, if it's like a wrap wrap skirt, and it's one of the ones like the one I have from Rubia Wear is like a giant square, and you kind of fold it in half. And when I do wash it, I lay it out and I make sure that it's that nice square shape and just let it air dry. Same for leg warmers. If they get a little distorted in the wash, just laying them out and making sure that everything is smoothed back out to its normal shape. And that's really all you have to do. I mean, it takes a little bit longer to lay things out, but once they're laid out, you walk away from them and you don't have to do anything until they're dry.
So much true. I wish I had this episode as a listener when I was younger. Like, I'm like, oh my God, the disasters that I did with my ballet clothes. Trying to figure it out. Like I was washing them by hand, yes, because I was in the boarding school, which was great. But then I was just putting them anywhere I could find. And if I have to use them the next morning, I will use a towel. So I would put a towel flat on the floor or in the whatever table. I would put a garment on top of it, and then I will start like twisting the clothes inside the towel so they could get dry faster, get as much water out of it as I could. And I was just like squeezing and squeezing. Can you imagine how I destroyed all the fabric from those leotards by doing that?
That's actually a good point, though, is to not wring them out, because I know that that's something that when things are overly soaked, we just kind of tend to do. But it is really hard on fabric to like wring it out really tight. So resist the impulse. Draping, air drying, laying flat, those are all the best options. And like Yelena said, not in direct sun, because the sun will cause color fading over time. So like if you're someone who likes to hang up outside and like line dry, which is a great option, just not leaving your stuff out there in the sun for too long, because it will eventually fade the colors. So maybe we could talk now about washing ballet slippers, because this one is a little controversial.
It is. It is. And I would love to know before we talk about it, anyone start leaving on your comments down below. What do you do with your ballet slippers or your ballet demi-point shoes? We would love to know before you even hear what we're going to say.
Yeah, because this one is one of those that like I have heard mixed things and I have an opinion of my own preference. I think everyone kind of has a preference, but there's not necessarily a right and wrong, but there are risks, I think, with washing. So you can wash canvas. We'll just start by saying that like canvas can be washed, but I think it is important to know that they do tend to tighten up a little bit in the wash. Like even if you don't dry them, just the fact of being washed, I've noticed with my canvas slippers, they tend to come out a little bit tighter. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, and they also change a little bit the color. Once you wash them on the washing machine, believe it or not, you might add nothing, just water, and the color changes. It doesn't get even. It gets really mixed color. And I've done it plenty of times, I'm not gonna lie, but I do have to agree with you on the risk of it. It's gonna shrink. They're gonna be fresh and washed, but they're not gonna look any good at all after you wash them in the washing machine. I will say that an easy way to wash them, and you don't want to risk it because they're expensive again. At least here, a pair of shoes is like $50, 50 Aussie dollars, and that's a lot. And as a ballet teacher, I wear them every day, and I wear them out really quick. So something that you could do is turn them inside out and use a wipe, or just let them aerate, because at the end of the day it doesn't matter how it looks from the outside. You're going to step on them again and you're going to go dancing again, so it's going to get very dirty on the outside. It's mostly from the sweat of your foot on the inside what we're talking about, why we want to clean them and wash them, really.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, canvas can be done. Leather, no. I think that's pretty much across the board. Like you would not want to wash them. But like you said, using a damp cloth to just at least wipe it down. And then that's what I do, is exactly what you said. I just turn my slippers inside out when I get home and just let them air out, because I don't like the change in how they feel on my foot after washing them. So another one we should talk about that I think a lot of people overlook is washing our dance bags.
Yeah, you really have to wash it because it's we put it there, everything that's been on the floor, it's been sweating in our bodies, and it actually we need to take an action with it.
Yeah, it definitely traps and carries a lot of bacteria, odor, sweat. Because if you think about it, like you said, you're putting on the floor of a dance studio, which tends to be pretty gross. And then you're putting your sweaty items into it. So of course, some of that is transferring onto the fabric inside your dance bag. So I tend to wash mine like once a month, every other month. Like it's not something that I wash a ton, but I think just when you notice that it starts to look a little dingy or it develops a mild odor, that would
Very mild.
that would be a good time to think about throwing it in the wash. I mean, I specifically at this point, I only buy dance bags that I know I can wash. Like I wouldn't necessarily buy something in leather for a dance bag because I know that I want to be able to wash it. So yeah, just think about washing it every so often. And same as the other dancewear, I don't know if you're the same, I tend to wash my bag by itself. Like I don't put it in a load with anything else.
Yeah, I just did it the other day actually. And yeah, it's exactly the same. And I actually don't have a brand dancewear bag, but it's great because I can turn it inside out, put it on the washing machine by itself, unless I have another bag that I want to wash. I will put it by itself, rinse it for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, nothing. It's just like a quick wash, and then I put it outside for drying.
Yeah, once you're done washing it, you can just take it out, reshape it, let it air dry. It usually won't do anything as far as distorting it. It might look a little smushed up when it comes out of the washing machine, but you can just reshape it by hand. And I've never had issues with it getting permanently distorted as long as I reshape it while it's still damp. And then another thing I love to do, like in between washes, every time I wash it, I replace a new scent satchel inside the bag, like lavender or eucalyptus or something that's just like a nice mild scent. And it just like keeps it nice between washes because again, it's like we're putting our sweaty shoes and skirts and leg warmers. And so it's nice to have something in there to kind of combat the.
I think I mentioned it before, but I do the same as well with the ballet shoes. So we have these little, they look like bananas, but they actually have different shapes and different smells. And we put some kind of sassel, what is the name? Sassel? What did you call that? That thing. Sasha? I have 3 of those, and we put on the climbing shoes, and I also use them now for the ballet shoes because they will take the humidity, they will take the sweat, and they will actually make it smell a little bit better. So that's something else that you guys can think about and try to look for it.
Yeah, those are honestly, they're so great. Any type of little scent packets. Like I know I'd even just get mine at Target and I think they're like $1.99 and they last for weeks, and you're still getting like a nice fresh smell from them. And we'll link all of these things that we've mentioned in the show notes, like examples of delicates bags, the little scent satchels, things like that. That'll all be in the show notes for you guys. And then, like we mentioned earlier, we're going to make a downloadable PDF quick reference guide to help you remember all these tips. And I'll also include some of our favorite clean detergent brands in case you guys are in the market for that. We also wanted to thank our sponsor again, Rubiaware. Don't forget to check out their gorgeous dancewear and knitwear at rubiaware.com and on Instagram, and all of their information will also be linked in the show notes.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining today, for listening. If you found this episode helpful, we would love for you to take a moment to give us a 5-star rating because it helps us so much in getting this show in front of more people and more dancers like you that are looking for tips and for resources. Thank you so much, everyone.
See you on the next one.
Thank you for listening to After Class.
Join the community on YouTube and Instagram or come dance with us, our weekly Zoom classes for adult ballerinas like you.
Links included in the episode description. Special thank you to our sponsors.
See you next time after class. Podcast produced by Mission Bridge Media.